It's the rumor that refuses to die. The mythical Nikon Z90. For years, Nikon fans have been refreshing forums and watching rumor channels with hopeful eyes, waiting for the mirrorless rebirth of the legendary Nikon D500. And yet, as 2025 inches closer to its end, there's still no Z90 in sight. Each quarter passes with new speculations, whispers of prototypes, and even insider leaks. But Nikon remains silent. Maybe that silence is the loudest message of all. Maybe the Z90 isn't coming soon, or at all. So, what's happening behind the scenes? To understand the frustration surrounding the Z90, you have to rewind to the DSLR era. Back then, Nikon's D500 wasn't just another crop sensor camera. It was a symbol. It represented everything enthusiasts and professionals loved about Nikon's engineering: durability, speed, and an unbeatable autofocus system, all without the full-frame price tag. Wildlife shooters adored it, sports photographers trusted it, and travel shooters valued its balance of power and portability. When Nikon went mirrorless with the Z series, many assumed a D500 successor would naturally follow. Instead, we got the Z50, a capable but casual body aimed at content creators. Then came the retro-styled ZFC, followed by endless rumors that a Pro DX mirrorless model was next in line. The rumor mill called it the Z80, then Z90, a spiritual successor to the D500, but in a sleek Z-mount mirrorless shell. But as time passed, other brands didn't wait around. Canon's EOS R7 became the go-to crop sensor powerhouse, while Fujifilm cemented its dominance in the APS-C segment with the XH2S and XT5. Nikon, meanwhile, doubled down on its full-frame ecosystem. And the Z90 rumors started to feel more like nostalgia than reality. Of course, the Z90's rumored specs are mouth-watering enough to make any Nikon fan daydream. Allegedly, the camera would pack a 33-megapixel APS-C sensor, powered by the latest X-Speed processor, capable of 15 to 20 frames per second in burst mode. It's said to feature oversampled 4K video up to 60 frames per second, Full HD up to 180 frames per second, and even in-body image stabilization. A first for any Nikon DX body. The body itself would supposedly include dual card slots, a 3.2-inch tilting touchscreen, and an autofocus system derived from the Z9's hybrid AF engine, complete with subject recognition and deep learning tracking. On paper, that sounds like a D500 reborn, maybe even stronger. But there's a problem. Every year these rumored specs circulate, and every year Nikon launches something else instead. Another lens, another full-frame update, another Z8 or ZF announcement. The Z90 continues to exist only in headlines and hope. Even Nikon's refurb sales seem to whisper a quiet truth. DX hardware is being discounted, not developed. Still, one can't dismiss the idea of a Z90 entirely. There's logic to it. Real market-driven logic. Nikon has a gap in its lineup between the beginner-friendly Z52 and the professional Z8. For shooters who crave high-speed performance but don't need a full-frame sensor, the Z90 could be that sweet spot. Wildlife and sports photographers in particular would benefit from the 1.5 times crop factor, which effectively extends telephoto reach without the weight or price of massive FX lenses. Imagine a 400mm lens acting like a 600mm, all with the agility of a smaller body. If Nikon could pair that with a few native DX telephoto primes, it could win back a market segment that's slowly slipping away. And there's no denying the emotional pull here. But here's the harsh reality. Nikon's focus tells a different story. The company has been explicit in its financial briefings. Its priority lies with full-frame cameras, not APS-C. In Nikon's current worldview, the DX market is shrinking, largely cannibalized by smartphones at the low end and full-frame mirrorless cameras at the high end. This creates a painful paradox. For Nikon to make the Z90 worthwhile, it would have to be powerful, fast, durable, and feature-rich. But that also means it risks competing directly with the Z8, one of Nikon's best-selling high-performance cameras. Why would Nikon build a cheaper body that eats into the sales of its flagship models? Then there's the lens problem. Nikon's DX lens lineup is underwhelming. The Z50 and ZFC rely almost entirely on kit zooms or adapted FX glass. Without a strong ecosystem of lightweight, professional-grade DX lenses, the Z90 would be hamstrung from day one. It's hard to sell a pro APS-C camera when your customers have to mount full-frame telephotos just to get the reach they need. Even if Nikon did build it, the cost of a stacked or partially stacked APS-C sensor, necessary for high-speed performance, would make the camera expensive to produce. That's likely one reason Nikon has hesitated. A cheaper BS-ICMOS might lower cost but would also limit speed and rolling shutter performance, undercutting the very qualities a D500 successor needs to have. And timing hasn't helped either. The D500 was discontinued in early 2022, leaving a gap that has only grown wider with every passing year. Canon and Fujifilm moved fast to occupy that space. If Nikon releases a Z90 now, it won't be launching into an open market. It'll be playing catch-up. If Nikon ever greenlights the Z90, it'll have to walk a razor-thin line between ambition and affordability. Analysts speculate a price range of $1,500 to $2,000, positioning it above the Z52 but safely below the Z8. That sounds fair, but here's the tricky part. At that price, it's competing directly with Canon's R7 and Fuji's X-H2, both of which already offer proven systems with mature lens ecosystems. To justify that price tag, Nikon would need to deliver more than specs. It would need confidence. Buyers aren't just investing in a camera, they're investing in a system. If Nikon can't promise long-term support for DX lenses or accessories, that $1,750 body suddenly feels like a gamble. And Nikon's recent sales promotions, offering up to 40% off APS-C gear, don't exactly inspire confidence that the company is doubling down on the crop sensor segment. At this point, the Nikon Z90 feels less like an upcoming product and more like a shared dream, one that's fading as time goes on. Every few months, the rumor resurfaces. New prototype sightings, leaked spec sheets, even confirmed release windows. But the truth is, Nikon hasn't said a word. That silence speaks volumes. In a world where the company's success now revolves around high-end full-frame innovation, a pro-grade APS-C camera may simply not fit into Nikon's long-term plan. The Z90, as fans imagine it, would be brilliant, fast, rugged, and versatile. But brilliance alone doesn't guarantee business sense. The saddest part? The people who want the Z90 the most, wildlife photographers, D500 loyalists, and Nikon purists, aren't asking for miracles. They're asking for a continuation of something Nikon once did better than anyone else. So, is the Nikon Z90 coming soon? All evidence points to no. Maybe someday Nikon will surprise everyone with a D500-style resurrection. But for now, the dream remains just that, a rumor, frozen in time. Thanks for watching.